So hi Ashutosh.
Hi Ambuj, how are you? Long
I'm
time.
good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me to this call.
Thanks a lot for agreeing to do this. So before starting, I would just give a little bit context about this discussion. So I met Ashutosh in about 2017 in an upgrade conference where I think it was in fancy of Clappia where it was starting. And I was like intrigued by the idea at that time itself, and I'm still intrigued by that idea. And over the years, like from that time till now, I have read a lot about Clapia, like on your story in 42, and I see all the stuff that you guys are doing. So I just wanted to take this discussion uh, in that direction, how exactly the story starts. So I'll just open the floor for you. Let's just give a little bit brief about yourself, and then how did Clapia happen?
Sure. Thanks again for this session. I started this company in I think November 2017. Before that, I was working with a company named Nutanix. Studied at IIT, joined Cisco as a software engineer, moved into product management. The closest role course. Then joined a Sequoia-funded startup named Calm.io as product manager again. That got acquired by Nutanix. And after that, I started my friend and batchmate from IIT Kharagpur, Sarthak. So we were friends, living together as well in the same wing. We knew each other quite well. Our capabilities, how things are. Started without too much of paperwork and discussion. We knew that how passionate he is about tech, how passionate I am about starting my own startup and things like that. The idea was basically the idea came when I came across a college senior of mine again who was working as an operations head, VP of operations in a well-known, well-funded startup of India, and he was looking for application, and then he had a very good budget of 2.5 lakhs or something per month. And he said that he's not able to find any software for this because his requirement is very specific, that there are only a couple of companies like that, and he wanted software. Now if he wants it to be built by some software developers, and all his software developers are already engaged, uh, just for this they don't want to hire a complete software development team, or outsource it for 6 months, 1 year, and they don't know whether that output will actually work or not. So then actually I noticed the problem that actually people are looking for applications like anything, and they have very good budget as well. I mean, in terms of software, just simple software, 2.5 lakhs per month is a good budget, especially in India. That actually got my eyes on this. Started researching. I was in a job only, so started researching, talking to people, the typical product. So I knew about product management, so that helped a lot. If you know, and I was very passionate about product management. You already know that, right? We interacted in that session. Yeah. So that's how it started, and then kept building. Yeah.
So, can you just tell me a little bit about what exactly is the product and how who should be interested in it?
Sure, sure. So we are, as I said, that operations companies with field force with the different people, thousands, hundreds, thousands, and lakhs of people interacting in terms of doing some business. Now they want certain applications, and they want very specific applications, right? And there are lots of applications that people need. They don't have to go to a developer, right? And especially this is required when standard software doesn't fit their requirement. So Clappia provides a no-code platform where creating such process applications is as easy as working with Excel sheets. So people who have never coded, people who don't know anything about even HTML, will be able to create very complex mobile and web applications on our platform. Right? Quite useful for internal process applications and automations and process automations and things like that, where you have non-desk employees. You can be oil and gas, manufacturing, then FMCG, where people are going to marketing and sales people. You have Salesforce and things like that. You can create custom app, multiple. I'm not talking about just one application. There are companies with 200 plus applications just used by just one company. So whatever things that are there which are unorganized, you can actually build a couple of applications within a couple of hours, not days, not months, a couple of hours, and roll out to all your employees on their iOS device, Android device, web applications, and so on. So that's the product.
Nice. So that is like your major focus. And some of my friends themselves
Mhm.
are starting their entrepreneurial journey. So would you say that Clappia will be useful for them if they are starting, say, a new application, mobile application or web application? Can they also use it directly?
So there are lots of startups who are using it,
Okay.
right? There are a couple of companies built on top of Clappia as well.
Oh wow.
Which means there are companies, something called, there is a company named Wezap, which is Vadodara based, just three people creating a complete SaaS out of Clappia with their own branding, own website, own product, but the underlying product is built on top of Clappia. So they have used their business logic, and they have no CTO, no tech person, uh, no developer in the team. So they have used their experience of the past 10 years in foundry and melting industry and built applications on top of it. And then they have created a micro SaaS. So there are a couple of examples like that. But we are not really very suitable solution for somebody who really wants to do a startup, especially in B2C sector.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you want to create something like Zomato, Swiggy, Flipkart, e-commerce, and probably we are not a great solution. Our applications are internal process based. So even if your startup is like a productivity application or maybe process based application for a very niche industry, then you should use Clappia. If
Okay.
not, there are other no-code platforms like us focused on this problem, right? It's like Adalo is there, like other problems are there. So you should definitely give it a try to see the suitability. But we don't really focus on B2C use cases. We have internal B2B use cases
So
mostly.
it would be correct to say, so if it is a B2C use case, the scale would be different for which different platforms are there. This is more on focused or niche things, which are like specific process in specific domains, maybe, right?
Correct. Not scalability. We are highly scalable as well. In
Okay.
terms of expectation, so typically no code platforms work on the basic principle that application development can be modularized. So you can create small blocks which are already coded
Mhm.
and provide customization option to the end user. So that is the fundamental of any no code platform. So what all other platforms have done is that they have picked their area. So we are internal processes, right?
Okay.
Then there is something called Webflow,
Mm-hmm.
which will help you build websites like WordPress, but in a better way. So if you just want to build a website without coding, you should go with Webflow. If you want an internal process application, you should come with us.
Okay.
If you want a customer facing, you should go to Adalo. So there are people who have picked areas and they are focusing on that. They are providing modules only for that area.
Okay. It's really nice to know. Actually, this probably maybe a lot of people are not knowing that their time to market or time to test can be heavily reduced using apps like Clappia, right?
Those correct. In businesses, since our use case is business, time to market for definitely works for people who want to try MVP and all.
Yeah.
For us, if you talk about internal process applications, the biggest problem that comes is that getting everything approved,
Mm-hmm.
right? So generally, CIOs and decision makers will approve only when it is directly impacting the top line or bottom line,
Correct.
right? And if something is not directly impacting in the sense that I buy it and I should start seeing the result tomorrow, so they
Yes.
will buy.
Yes.
And even if they do, when application development and creation is very difficult, they will only focus on the top problems, and rest of the things will be unorganized only. That is where it helps a lot because there is no our pricing is per user pricing, so there is no limit on the number of apps and things like that. So people start with a couple of apps, but as soon as they realize the power of the platform, they keep on adding more applications and eventually convert every process into a real application, and they keep trying. So some, because there is no dependency on anybody. So if there is a, let's say, operations head, and he gets to know about Clappia, he will simply build it,
Mm-hmm.
roll out to his users. After a couple of weeks, he will realize the mistakes that he has done, or maybe other things that he needs to add, and he will update the app again. So the whole development cycle just
Reduces.
goes away.
Yep.
Yeah, that is there. Yeah.
So we have talked about the app, we have talked about how it started. Now I want to ask you about few cases which you are really proud of, few problems you might have solved. So are there any such problems that you have solved and you want to share with us?
It's been a long time, so there are lots of cases. I'll talk about a couple of
Yep.
them. One of the customers is I can name as well. They are also very proud of using us. So the startup projects. Okay, they again started with a couple of applications. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and for very specific use case.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they understood the platform, and these applications were used by 1,500 employees.
Okay.
They kept building on top of us, and that is a company that has 200 plus applications.
Oh my
So
God.
for everything, whatever applications that was required, they just kept building, and they didn't need anything from us in the sense that other than bug reports, feature suggestions. So they want something because the platform was building, still building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they helped us a lot, and we are very thankful to that as a customer to keep on giving good more and more suggestions, because we were trying all other use cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
We may be focusing on a couple of use cases, but they were trying all the use cases and saying that it would be better if you would provide this or this or this, and we kept building, and because of that the product became truly sector agnostic. And the second example would be one of the India's largest oil and gas companies
Mm-hmm.
with and I'm starting India's example right now. There are international examples as well. So they from the day people started building the applications to the complete rollout
Mm-hmm.
to 18,000 outlets across India, that took approximately 30 days.
Wow.
Right. So, and in 30 days, people generally come up with the requirement, discuss this, several project managers, people talking here and there, testing and all those. But the complete Android, iOS, web application with all the data backfilling, everything from multiple reviews to the complete rollout to 18,000 outlets to people who are not used to using the mobile application. Just 30 days. That's the power of no code platforms like Clappia, where rather than going for 6 months deployment cycle, this that 1 year, and a very specific application, because there aren't many oil and gas companies in India. So and their requirements of applications will be very specific as well. So you can't build for one and then start selling to all the companies in the world. The
Yes.
requirements will be different.
Yes.
So it has to be built very specifically for an industry. So that kept on building, and then kept on adding more applications, and the next rollout was much easier, and things like that. So and we are doing they are releasing a proper video for that as well, proper launching and all those stuff. So that is another one. Then there are lots of examples. There is another one where a bakery company actually with hundreds of people, hundred means several stores in different locations. They completely built everything. So we are a self-service platform where people find us through Google,
Mm-hmm.
sign up on the platform, they see whether it is fitting their need or not, they build application and then see, contact us in case they need any support. In most cases they don't, and then they just roll out themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They just started, and then within 10 days they rolled out some 7 to 8 applications for 100 plus people, and again by people who have never coded. So all those things actually boost us a lot.
Of course.
Yeah.
So from what you are saying, I actually gathered two, three things. One is that if you are focusing on your customers, your product can grow from the requirements of customers themselves if you start understanding them properly. Because when your company grows, the number of customers also grow and the requirements also grow. So it in turns actually help you to grow your product also. And second thing I also
Correct.
gather is that your platform seems to be very customer friendly, because since you are getting so many people onboarded and so less support is required. So I would really appreciate this kind of product which you are building, and definitely I would like to learn more about that. So other
Thank you.
than that,
Thank you.
let's now steer our conversation in a different direction. So we understood how it started, we understood how it is scaling, we saw all the successes that are coming in. I would also like probably want to spend a few minutes on understanding what kind of challenges that you might have faced. So it could be technical challenges, it could be regulatory challenges, or the challenges in business. So since as an entrepreneur, you must have gone through a lot while building your company. So there must have been some places where you might have felt, so this is something which is really challenging and it took you a while to solve those challenges. So maybe if you could focus on one or two such kind of challenges, which could be a learning point for other entrepreneurs.
Sure, sure. So see, fundamentally, all challenges, I mean, most part of the challenges you will see, especially in business or even in life in many cases, it is mostly around chicken and egg,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what will come first? How will you break the cycle of the initial stuff? So for example, in our case, it will be and for most startups, you don't have customer,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have very finished product.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have finished product, customers will not come. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't have customers, investment will not come. If you don't have investment, you can't build the product. You
Yes.
don't build the product, you don't get the customers, right? So this is the cycle, typical cycle that
Yeah.
you have to go through, and everywhere that situation is there. If you don't have the money, you can't make money.
Of course.
You can't make money because you don't have the money. So that's how the world works. uh, so typically, people with tech background, right, they get into the modern, and I was a product manager, so product building was my
Mhm.
forte, right?
Yep.
And we get into that trap of, the only option we have to get out of this trap is, first is either get some funding from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be in some stage before we raise funds, but so we skipped that. The next was product building.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where most entrepreneurs do that mistake, because the only thing that they can do is build the product,
Yes.
right? So they keep building,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to a stage where they take to the customer, and then customers don't want that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's where my experience in product management helped a lot, because I knew that a bad feature actually impacts any business negatively a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we decided that we will not build unnecessary features. So even I can proudly say that we have 100% of strike rate in terms of using features. So there is no feature in our platform that our customers are not using,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which fundamentally means people keep on asking for more features, and we don't have really enough bandwidth to supply those features. So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, this takes yeah. So that came from product management. The initial product, that MVP, the real MVP has to be built. That is the product challenge that you have to build, not just something that works, something that is actually modeled around customers problem, right? And then you go back to the customer. It should solve the problem of the customer in day one,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you take it back. You cannot say that eventually will come with the feature that you need. So no, you'll have to sell the exact features that you have, and you have to build the exact features that you have to build. So you go to certain customers, there will be customers who will not be buying it, uh, uh, even if you have all the features and everything. So you'll have to determine all those.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one challenge where people I also got into that trap, and then immediately realized that I'm also doing that mistake. Now while you implement that, I will not build a feature unless customer is coming. Now if you just get to that discipline, the next challenge would be getting the customer. Right?
Yes.
And the biggest problem that I am, and that was mentally very exhausting, that you talk to people, you kept on sending cold emails, cold calls and everything, and the
Mm-hmm.
customer will say, I'm interested, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you come after 15 days? So
Mm-hmm.
what will you do for the next 15 days? So getting to, before you have the customers, this is the time where you have to really be calm and composed, stop yourself from building unnecessary stuff,
Mm-hmm.
focus a lot on sales, even if you have the excuse that sales will not happen
Mm-hmm.
unless you have the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that, and then pitch to investors to get money. Yeah.
So as a product manager, you showed your skill of prioritization in building the product.
Yep. Don't build unnecessary feature. I mean, saying no is the most difficult thing. Saying no, especially when you have no customers, I will not build unless somebody is buying this, is is a very difficult thing to do. And we still we stick to this even today. You will see that we have a very nice system where we don't have to really explain our vision and everything a lot. Our customers keep on telling, we have created channels, WhatsApp groups, calls, they will call me directly if they want their feature to be prioritized and so on. And then we know, okay, these things are real problems, these things are just problems good to have. And the best way to basically get your features prioritized is just put some money. Are you willing to pay for this?
Mm-hmm.
So if they say yes, it means it is a problem. Otherwise, there is no problem. Are you willing to upgrade to a bigger plan, or are you ready to buy more licenses? So as soon as they say yes, I'm ready, you know this is a real problem.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes we ask this as a test, and then we don't take that money. So we also do things like that, because of which the product strike rate, feature strike rate is quite good. You will see that there are customers using almost all the features.
But this is also the best metric that you're talking about. If customer is already willing to pay, definitely that needs to be prioritized.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the beginning, we didn't have the features. So what you used to do is just simply say, and that's where my co-founder helped a lot. That's why I say he's a guy who you can rely on. So we would say, you sign the check right now. Your billing will start after 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
We are building it in 10 days, and if it is not built, we will refund.
Okay.
Right. So and that's where Sarthak will come back and then say 10 days, it will happen in 10 days, no matter how complex it is. So that's something that we adopted even in the beginning. So so because of that, so customer will tell you the most important problem, you solve that, and he has paid as well. So you also have the motivation to build that. You also have a deadline. And then MVP 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So you eventually get a complete product which is actually being used by other people. And eventually, because the customer has mentioned those features, your feature set will be the right feature set. And you'll have to say no to multiple customers as well. Yeah.
So continuing on that, actually, I had two things I wanted to ask you. One is like, how much is, like, you already focused a little bit on that. What role actually sales play, or what role your sales team, if you have any, played in breaking that barrier that you were talking about, and the deadlock of a product and the customer. So how much the sales and probably marketing, how much role this played? And second question which I wanted to ask is, how did you initially, like, focus on building your team? Because that is also very important, because if your co-founder is so confident in saying that we'll be able to develop this feature in 10 days, he must be very confident of his team also. So how did you go about hiring people who actually follow the same ethos that you do?
Sure. So the first question about uh, sales and engineering interaction. So when you break when you create a barrier that these are sales people, these are engineering people, and all those things, right? Then this problem comes a lot, right? We have dedicated sessions for sales and engineering team to talk to, and that meeting will start. That the dedicated time is 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I guess, and it will go for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. So that is where you actually tell the business guy to go and attack in a good way the engineering team, right? And engineering team has to present the roadmap, and obviously headed by both of us, me and Sarthak. So engineering team will present things that they will work on in the next 1 month, 1.5 months, and so on. What is this month's task, next month's task, and so on. And this business team will say, no, the priority is not right, because and we can do that right now. I know it is not possible in large organizations. We can do that right now, and that's why we do. So they will say, this is on high priority because this customer is saying about this all the time. If we don't deliver this, maybe he will leave. He's already very angry or whatever, giving very bad vibes and things like that. So all these things will happen, and after the roadmap is done, they will say that, this is also required, that is also required, that is also required. So they will just give their pipe dreams, and then engineering will say the problem with this is this. So that interaction, and it will not happen every day, because other than it will start giving negative impact.
Mhm.
So it will not happen every day. There are dedicated time slots for this where engineering and sales team will interact, right? I do not, as at least now, previously I used to do, I do not interact with the engineering team directly. I do not give assigned tasks to them,
Mhm.
right? This is high priority. If I have to say this, I'll say this to Sarthak,
Mhm.
right? So that people don't get confused. This is a very common phenomena in startups where engineering team get confused. Now they have to listen to the CTO or CEO,
Mhm.
right? So that we have kind of created that system where people will listen to only one person. Now if our engineering team has to listen to, they will listen to Sarthak. They will not listen to me no matter what I say. No matter who I am. So I'll talk to Sarthak. I'll convince Sarthak this is important, not important. How much money is there lying there, and things like that. And then we also put our engineering, some of the engineering teams on, dedicated. They have, what is that called? I forgot. Maybe support us and things like that, where they are there in customer support group, and
Mhm.
they get to know what is customer facing.
Mhm.
Right? And they also immediately get the feedback that customers are actually using all this. They are coming back with lots of corner cases.
Mhm.
There are a couple of customers, we call them unofficial QA team.
Mhm.
So they test we release the feature within an hour. They will come back with the bug, or
Mhm.
maybe some feature suggestion that if you have done this, you should
Mhm.
be doing this as well.
Mhm.
So that kind, and they immediately will respond on WhatsApp groups and all. So this engineering team members get to know. They don't really answer or maybe talk to them, but they get to know that whatever they have built is adopted immediately, and there are further suggestions as well, and they start using. So that's how we have made sure that there is no gap. People are not in silos. Engineering understands the customer pain, and sales understand how engineering works, and things like that. And because of this, we have a very good set of feature development and support cycle. So yeah, that is there. The next, sorry, can you come with the second question? I
Yep, yep.
kind of
So,
missed that.
so I understand that first
Team
problem that
building.
I asked you basically solved that by the communication between the engineering and the sales team. So both the teams understand each other's problems, right? Basically, and
Hmm,
have dedicated time for
hmm,
that. The second question was in developing your team. So you seem
hmm.
to be very confident of your co-founder. Your co-founder seems to be very confident of their team. So when you have such confidence, then you must put a lot of thought in building that team, right? So I just wanted
Right,
to
right,
throw some light on that. How do you select people? How do you know that they will follow the same ethos that company is following?
right. So typically, for us, uh, I mean, it starts with the founders first. So for us, because we knew each other, that helped a lot.
Mhm.
You would ask Sarthak at that time, the only thing he would say, "ये कर लेगा."
Mhm.
I know him, right? I know ये कुछ जुगाड़ लगा लेगा, कुछ कर लेगा. So that is the kind of confidence. Whatever you put me somewhere, he will just find out.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that level of confidence in development because I didn't know him from development cycle. Good at studies and all I know, but many times people are different in job. But when he started delivering, he said 10 days, it won't be 11th day. Not even 10 days plus 1 hour. No, it was. So confidence happens over time, right?
Yep.
It builds over time, where you see how this is working. And I was a product guy, so I was very upfront in saying that I don't know sales,
Mhm.
right? Um, and if things are not happening, there is no problem in saying I don't know. I mean, he doesn't understand product and sales right now. He's very upfront. We are very upfront in saying that not my cup of tea, at least as of today. But we will have to do it. Either we hire people
Mhm.
or we learn it.
Yes.
Correct. So these are the only two options we had. Initially, we didn't have enough money, so we had to learn on our own. So for I had to learn sales a lot,
Mhm.
right? And then he realized that okay, he's saying sales, and lots of sales happened because of me. Sales, partnership. People got into partnership with us while just within a meeting. They talk to me, and then they're like, "No, I'll work with him. No worry." So all these things, he also got confidence in me. I also got confidence in him, because it built over time. Apart from friendship, the overall deliverable confidence takes time. Now, after we were done, or maybe we were very dedicated to this, then we started building team, right? So initially we thought that, okay, we'll create copies. So business was my part and engineering was his part. So he'll create, he will get hire people who will be like working the way he is working. I'll hire people the working the way I am working.
That's
Okay, and that way we understand just two. We understand just two business. There are only two parts. There are different departments in a company, but fundamentally there are only two: business and development, right? Especially for tech startups. Rest of the things can be outsourced in the beginning. Later on you can go, so accounting you can outsource at times. When design, I knew some basic stuffs of designing, so outsourced and got it designed by somebody, designed myself as well, right? So things like, and we were crossing each other paths at times, taking he giving feedback to me, I was giving feedback to him, and so on. Then we started hiring on the same fundamentals. You will see that people who are in engineering, they are like Sarthak only. uh, and that is a bad thing as well at times.
But
You will
initially,
see
when you have
all
to
the
work towards like a particular goal, then it's better to hire people, who
goal is sales.
that.
Goal is sales.
Yeah.
There is no goal other than, for a business there is no goal other than revenue and sales, trust me.
No, no. I'm trying
The
to say, even if initially you are hiring people just like you, that is actually a good thing for an initial startup, because it will
for
be for
initial.
you, it will be easy to work with those people, and you could be, collectively working towards the same feature, product, or goal, I mean to say. So initially, it's a good rule of thumb for
Correct.
startups, probably, for co-founders, that they try to find people who are as dedicated towards that particular product as like other people are.
Correct. And then you start getting blind spots. So because you just have people like you start ignoring certain. And obviously there cannot be people just like you and all the time. There will be people who will be very different and all. And you should realize that there are different kinds of people. Their style of working is different. They come up with their own baggages. They come up with their own advantages. So you started. So in the beginning it is a very good idea, but later on you have to get rid of it.
So
Get people who fill the gaps that you are not filling. That is how we have been hiring.
Okay. And I understand what you're trying to say, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on that, because that is quite important. The thing is, have you thought about what kind of culture you want to build? Over time, when companies grow, co-founders also have to think about what kind of culture I'm building. There can be different kinds of people, but they should come into the same environment. They should build a culture which actually propels the growth of the company. So, have you thought about the culture part yet?
Correct. Yes, yes. See, culture is something that happens automatically
Mm-hmm.
based on the ethos of the founders,
Mm-hmm.
right? So many times, and that is where if you talk to anybody, if you our batchmates were surprised when they saw that we are partnering, because me and Sarthak are very different people, very different people,
Mm-hmm.
right? But where we actually merge is on the fundamental, on the ethics, right? So at times you don't understand whether whatever you are doing is actually right for business or ethically incorrect,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's where you will see that we auto correct each other.
No.
We say that probably this is a gray area, we should not be doing this or not doing that, even if it is impacting our output. I mean, in terms of positively, better revenue, or maybe will save us some money, and things like that. We correct each other a lot. I think we should not be doing this, and we respect each other a lot. So because of which. Um, we pay attention to what they are saying, and then understand that, okay, probably I did not think it this way, that this may be wrong and we shouldn't be doing like that. So when you are like that, it actually trickles down.
I'm actually taking 2 points away from this. That one thing is that howsoever the co-founders are, it percolates down. And second point is
It
that
percolates.
co-founders should be kind of complementary in order to bring in all aspects of business together, right?
That is not the only role. There can be similar founders who can work as this. Worked for us for sure. This actually is like, oh, no conflicts on stuffs like this. No on development and all. I come up with my, and I have absolutely, we have no shame in saying I don't know this,
Mhm.
because when you have similar skills,
Mhm.
let's say I partnered with a product manager, I'll just start discussing whether this is right or that is right.
Yes. Mhm.
But when Sastha can directly say that this is a product part. I don't know anything about product, right?
Yes.
Ashutosh knows about it, so he exactly knows where I will fit in.
Mhm.
And when it is technology, I exactly know Sarthak can only answer this, right? So that's where our roles are divided very clearly,
Mhm.
which may not happen when people are in the similar from the similar background, or maybe or experience. So that worked a lot.
I wanted to point this out for me also, that you said that you don't directly talk to your development team. You talk to Sarthak and convince him if you want something to be done. And that is actually, I would say, a very good thing, because when your team knows that who to follow, what to follow properly, if they understand the top management or the top people are aligned on things, it instills a very good confidence, I would say, and people also like to work in that man. So that is a very good point that I took from the previous discussion. I forgot to share. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it is very good. I mean, it was very comforting for. I mean, talk is different. I can talk anything. I
Mhm.
talk more than Sarthak, so I talk anything, but I'll not give tasks to them.
Of
I'll
course.
not say that just do it,
Mhm.
because I am the CEO.
Mhm.
It has to come from Sarthak,
Correct.
or maybe we'll just sit in a meeting and then decide what needs to be done, take their inputs, and then whatever they say,
Mhm.
and then think how it should go. So yeah, that's how we handle.
So finally, I would ask you to give some advice from your perspective, like top two, three things that you would like to advise a budding entrepreneur today in India.
Sure. I mean, there are many, and there are so much material on the internet as well. But okay, I'll share top things that are coming to my mind right now. See,
Mhm.
the biggest one is basically starting.
Mhm.
See, you will commit certain mistakes, will do something wrong, and all. We are living in a situation. We are very fortunate to be in a situation where, if you leave a job, you can actually get the job in the next couple of weeks, days, months, right?
Correct.
That
Mhm.
was not the situation a couple of decades back, right?
Yes.
So probably this is one of the first few generations who can actually afford to leave a job and then go back to a job again.
Yes.
So use this, and the situation may not remain the same maybe a couple of decades later.
Correct.
So probably first generation which has a safety net, better safety net, right? So you make use of that safety net, and start something. It's a very different feeling. You should be seeing why founders who keep on making losses, and who keep on not making enough money, that the salary, keep on taking salaries which is lesser than their official job salaries, they still continue with that. They
Mhm.
continue for years, decades. I mean, that may be a disadvantage as well, but
Mhm.
you need to understand why they do it.
Mhm.
They do it because they love it. They love that lifestyle. It is very different feeling. You cannot really get this feeling unless you get into this role,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And we say that, right? Product management is very close to entrepreneurship and all. But yeah, except you don't get that feeling. You don't have that much to lose. You,
Yes.
at max, you will lose your job, and right. At
Correct.
times, you, as a startup entrepreneur, you feel like, okay, the company may close. You never know. Every day, the emotions are like, oh, I'm doing really great. Oh, did this, and then next day, I'm not talking about, or maybe next hour,
Mhm.
you'll be like, oh, I did everything wrong. Right? So this happens a lot. So you should be trying it at least once, and if it doesn't work, you can always go back. You will have better experience, and probably bigger salaries as well. People are really accepting entrepreneurs as really good product managers, and in other roles as well. So make use of that. The second thing is that you have to understand this is difficult.
Mhm.
There's a reason why not everybody is getting into all this. This is difficult, and just be ready for that difficulty.
Mhm.
It's like sports, right? Sports is difficult. Not everybody, and especially I am not in sports, so I know, get starting in any sports is so difficult. But once you get used to it, you start loving it.
Yes.
You get habituated with it. So make sure that you understand that it is difficult. Do not go for something. Do not get funding or do not get any customer just because it will ease your life for a couple of months or years and all. Take it. They have their own role. So one of the things that we say is that do not accept customers who are not really your customers.
Mm-hmm.
So especially when you are in software world and tech world, you will see that lots of time people will say, "I'll pay you this much. You build everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can build Clappia. Why don't you build this for me? And I'll pay you this much crores." I'm talking about crores, and that's where you have to say no. You have to be very focused. You have to create your ethics, product philosophies. That this is how we plan to make money, right? I have a very favorite diagram of that hockey stick, and it's a well-known diagram, but not everybody knows that this actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey stick diagram works. So your cost goes linearly, but your returns come exponentially. So all these things are there. You have to understand, create those philosophies, work toward them, and then eventually things will turn out better. If it doesn't out, even then you will definitely be very proud of the fact that you actually jumped into this. That's my point for entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs.
So I actually totally agree with all the points that you have said. I mean, it can't be put in a better manner. Thanks a lot for joining me here, Ashutosh. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ambuj, for organizing this. Yeah.